something I've always been curious about, and I'm in the middle of a situation now where I have a new piece of gear and I'm trying to incorporate that into my workflow. I ran my typical setup, which is analog summing. When you use analog summing, you use converters for every stereo pair you're trying to send into your summing. So that means if you have a summing situation like me, a Neve 5060, I got 24 channels of summing that gets down to 2 in the summing box, right? The analog domain. That means I'm sending 24 converters into this thing, all right? So 12 stereo pairs of converters. I also did a test where I'm basically more of a mastering workflow where I sum in the box, then I send the whole thing out through the Mogamis, through the custom cables, and through my entire chain, which is the Neve 5060, but I'm only going to use one channel. No summing will happen in there. So one stereo channel is going to get the whole mix. Then I'm going to add, go straight into my Neve Master Bus processor, the Portico 2. Then I'm going to go into the SSL Fusion. Then I'm going to run back in through the Latte, the JCF Audio Latte. I'm going to run back in through both of those. Now, what I'm sending the entire mix through, in other words, summed in the box, and then the DA to get into all this stuff is the Latte. So that's what you're about to hear. And we're going to see if there's any difference. Let's just real quick go between the summed version and the non-summed version. So, in other words, these right here are both the, this is my analog summing tests, and these are the Latte through the chain back through the Latte tests. Let's see how much of a difference we hear on these. Now, I tried to level match as best as I could because the print through the burl is a little louder than the print through the Latte. That's really, you could adjust the Latte, but I didn't. I just level matched afterwards. So rather than make the Latte louder, because I sort of liked where the Latte was sitting when I ran a couple things through it, so I didn't want to mess with it. So let's just check it out. Like I said, which one was it? Bed. Okay, so since this one's the custom, for the purpose of this test, let's just go custom. And then which one was it over here? This one, Jelly, is the custom. Okay. So that's the custom cable. So these are the custom, and then these are the Mogams. Mogami. Okay. Again, you know the whole thing. I'm not sponsored. Nobody's paying me to do any of this, and I don't get to keep anything free by doing this. So this is all the most honest take you will find on this. This is just for my own benefit of what I am going to keep or not. So here we go. Let's run. Let's just hear the custom versus the custom cable. I'm just curious. Actually, let's start with the Mogami. I'm curious what that's about, and then we'll go to the other one. So this. So that's Mogami, Latte, and then this would be Mogami summing. Analog summed. I'll put them next to each other so it's easier to do this test. Just in case I run that like that. Here we go. There's a difference. Some of that's coming from the fact that it's one's printed through the burl and the other one isn't, but there's definitely a difference. All right, let's listen to the custom versus the custom. Remember, green is the analog summed and yellow is the summed in the box. Fast forwarding. That's interesting. It's not the biggest difference. There's a width that's maybe apparent in the analog summing. I hate using these terms because it's so hard to describe sound in words like adjectives. It's really difficult to do because everybody has their own definitions of all these things. So some people say depth, some people say width. It's really hard for me to put a finger on what it is. All I could hear is like, I hear the different sounds of the different converters that are feeding my summing. Does that make sense? In other words, my apogee converters have a specific sound, and I'm hearing those combined with the Burl converters, combined with the latte conversion, and that's all coming together to create this analog summed sound, and that has a sound to it that's different than everything being summed in the box, then all running through the latte. There's a difference in sound. I don't know if I would say one's better or worse. And typically I would say it's much thinner, smaller, whatever. But I guess what I realized is the summing's not the thing giving me that magic that I thought it was giving me. It's more the chain after it, potentially, like the Neve Master Bus processor, which has both compression and limiting on it, and the stereo field editor on it. I mean, it's got a feedback or feed forward compression style, like, you know, it's on feedback at the moment. Things like that. I mean, it's that and the SSL Fusion, which, you know, I typically run. The way I call all buttons in, I have everything in on it, and, you know, cranked. A lot of stuff's cranked. One day I'll show you guys my settings on that thing, but I like to use it. It's a good way to describe how I'm using it. I use it. So I'm running this through this chain, and then I'm running back in through the latte on the yellow, and it sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound thin or small. It just sounds like I don't have that, all the flavors being added from all the different converters. That's the best way to describe the difference I hear here. Interesting. A lot of people will tell you that summing through an analog console does a lot. That's why a lot of guys still use SSLs, for that reason, that the console, with all its, you know, what it's adding by running through it, does a lot. And, you know, I hear something is happening, but I actually have a feeling that's more of a result of the converters than the Neve 5060 itself. It's just my opinion, though. Let's hear the Mogamis against each other again. I mean, personal taste, right? But I'm actually starting to prefer the non-summed version. Can't explain why. It just feels like preferable to me. And this may be, there may be a bias here too. So let's just do that for the sake of non, biased answers. Let's change what is what so that I don't know. That'll be fun. It's a good way to wrap this up. We're gonna make them all pinkish. Now, because they're this purplish pinkish color, I have no idea what's what. All I know is what's custom and what's Mogami, but we're going to mix them up. We're going to do a little shuffle waffle. We're going to do a little 3-card Monty. We're going to do a little, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Follow the ball. Where's the cup? Where's the cup? Here we go. Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, so now we got Mogamis next to each other, customs next to each other. So at least we know what's Mogami and what's not, but we don't have any idea which of these is summed and which of these is not summed. Analog summed versus in the box summing. So this will give us a good sense of, we'll just pick two. Like I'll use the both customs or both. Let's use the Mogamis because at the moment I'm not planning on keeping the custom cables. So let's just listen to the Mogamis back and forth and see if we could pick. And then I'll do the same thing with the customs. Here we go. I don't remember what that was set at, so it doesn't matter. Here we go. Ahead of your base. Ahead of your base. Ahead of your base. There's a clearer difference in this than there ever was with the cables, because this is a significant difference. It's either, 24 converters compared to 1, compared to summed in the box and just the DA of the latte, and then back into the latte. So technically 2 stereo converters, 2 sets of stereo converters. But, there's a difference because there's a sound to the summing. Ahead of your base. Ahead of your base. I tell you the truth, I almost know based on the sound that this is not the summed version. This is ahead of your base. Ahead of your base. This sounds more directional, like more centered, more focused. And for whatever reason, I'm preferring that in the moment today. And I've talked about this before. You will fluctuate your decisions, your tastes, your likes, your dislikes. It's actually a good reason why I don't like selling gear, because your tastes change, man. And then all of a sudden something that sounded weird that you hate, now you love and you want back. So here we go. Ahead of your base. Ahead of your base. This sounds like a bunch of the Apogee converters adding up to this, because I have 16 of them and they have a sound, and that's what's happening here. That's what I hear. Ahead of your base. So this is definitely the latte. In the box summing and then latte. So in the box everything's summed, then it runs through the latte. That's what this is. I'll almost guarantee it. Let's hear if the custom cable sounds better than this. I'm curious. Let's see if we could tell which one it is. So this is the one I'm thinking is the latte. Let's see. Is this a latte? Here we go. Flipping to the other side. Sum in the box latte. Yep. So this is the summed in the box and then the latte. So I did get it right. I mean, it's so obvious. Whereas this other one, WBC, and it's not summed in the box. This one says summed in the box. This one is not. If you click here, you can see it's an analog summing. So, yep, I was correct. And I would get that right 100 times out of 100, because you could hear the difference so clearly from where I'm sitting anyway. And given my setup and my sound source and everything. And I tell you the truth, I kind of preferred it. I didn't pick it just because I could hear it. I actually think it sounds better. Like when you don't know which is which, it's kind of a clear decision, which is interesting to me. I never thought I would not, like I never thought that I would change my mind on thinking analog summing is key, but I'm changing my mind on it at the moment. And we do that sometimes. Your tastes change, your ears change, people change their mind, and you're allowed to. Give yourself permission to change your mind, all right? Nobody needs to stick on some, hill that they believe in forever. That's not normal, especially for people who make art for a living. So
ahead of your base, ahead of your base, ahead of your base.
I really do like that. Okay, now I didn't look at what these were, but let's mix them around just in case so that we really don't know what they are. I already know which one is analog summed and which isn't.
Had a dream last night that I thought I could fly away. I had a dream last night that I thought I could fly up into the sky. And if you ask me where I was,
Go to that part of the song. I mean, there's things that sound more present on this version than this version, and that focused is how I describe it. It's also just like a general clarity, like the snare sounds more clear on this version, things like that I'm hearing. Everything, there's sort of more top end on this, on everything, including the snare, and that's on this version, and that's the latte. I'll guarantee it. Just, I mean, I could just tell. So this first track is going to be latte, not analog summed. It will be summed in the box through the latte. That's the first one. Let's hear it. Let's check it out. Here we go. Yeah, obviously we know it's custom cable, but yeah, see, sum in the box latte, and this one analog sum. It's so obvious, but I never realized how obvious. And it's not a negative obvious. It's actually a positive obvious, the way I look at it now. And I used to not look at it this way. Now, I'm glad I sort of figured this out, because if you know my battle and struggle with wanting to mix in the box and be happy, I always thought, man, I'm really far from that, because I love analog summing. And then I love my chain, and I love printing through, you know, my Braille converters, all this stuff. Whereas now, now I'm sort of considering that my tastes have changed, and now I'm willing to remove analog summing from the picture so that I just have the latte sending signal into my chain. So in other words, I've removed the summing. For example, let's say I might go down this path in the future, removing the summing and then just running through my chain of master bus processor, SSL Fusion, back into the latte. I may do that, because as far as I could tell, I like the sound better at the moment in this given sound source and this given everything. The summing's not doing nothing for me, really. It's changing the sound, but not in a way that I'm happy with or that I prefer, if that makes any sense. That just sounds so present and clear and good. And then doesn't sound bad. It's just things sound smaller and less focused, less clear, less present. I mean, not everything, but a lot of the elements. Now, let's just go back to, this was the one, and I believe it was this one. Let's see which of these is. So we know the first one is the latte sum, you know, it's summed in the box. And then what's this? I think it's, this one was the latte also. Yeah, this is the latte. Okay, so this is the latte, like we said. Yep, see some in the box. I'm sorry, some in the box up here. Yep. It's like not even a question to me. Keep in mind also, tastes change, years change, everything develops. You develop. It's a constantly moving target. So maybe in a few years I'll feel different. Maybe if my setup changes, I'll feel different. I don't know. But at the moment where I'm at now, using everything I'm using and the gear I'm using and what's feeding it, this is where I have to stand on it at the moment. So, but if anybody's seriously considering a purchase like this, maybe this helped you. I hope it did. Leave a comment, leave a like, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. Talk to you guys soon. You guys got this. Take it easy.